Welcome to BizSimplified. Imagine pouring your entire life savings into a brand new business. You carefully set your prices, and then you just watch your sales completely flatline. It's a nightmare, right? Too many entrepreneurs rely on gut feelings to predict consumer behavior, which basically turns pricing into a game of blind roulette. But here's the thing. Business success really isn't about guessing. It's about utilizing precise analytical tools that map exactly how buyers are going to react, long before you even make a move. So, in today's explainer, we're diving into a really practical case study to explore exactly that. We're going to track the journey of a fictional Omani cafe owner to understand the mathematical precision tool that businesses rely on every single day to analyze supply and demand. It's the hidden mechanism that explains why raising prices can totally save one business, yet bankrupt another. The absolute core foundation for understanding any market's dynamics comes down to one single word: elasticity. Formally, we define elasticity as a measure of how much buyers and sellers respond to changes in market conditions. Basically, it's a metric of responsiveness. When a variable like price or income shifts, elasticity tells us exactly how intensely the consumer's buying habits are going to stretch or shrink in return. To break this all down, we're going to follow a structured case study built on four main pillars. First, price elasticity. Second, the total revenue connection. Third, income shifts. And finally, substitutes and complements. All right, let's jump right into part one, price elasticity. Price elasticity of demand simply measures how much the quantity demanded of a good responds to a change in its price. Let's apply this to our local Omani cafe. Suppose the owner decides to test the waters and bumps up the price of their signature ice cream cone from $2 to $2.20. In response, the amount sold actually falls from 10 cones down to 8. The price elasticity of demand is computed by taking the percentage change in the quantity demanded and dividing it by the percentage change in price. We're mathematically measuring the ratio of the consumer's reaction directly against the business's action. When you map this out mathematically, you get different demand curves representing varying levels of consumer sensitivity. Notice the extremes here. A steeper curve means demand is relatively inelastic, meaning consumers really need the product, so the quantity they demand barely drops even when prices rise. Conversely, a flatter curve means demand is relatively elastic. Consumers are highly sensitive there, and even a tiny price bump causes a massive drop in sales. There's also unitary elasticity, where price and demand change at the exact same rate, alongside the purely theoretical boundaries of perfectly elastic and perfectly inelastic demand. Which brings us perfectly to part two, the total revenue connection. Total revenue is calculated just by multiplying your price by your quantity. But think about the revenue parabola beneath the demand curve. The inelasticity of demand tells our cafe owner exactly how their overall bottom line will change if they tweak their prices. In that top elastic zone, where prices are high and consumers are sensitive, lowering prices actually increases total revenue, moving you right up the parabola. But once you cross that middle point into the inelastic zone, continuing to lower prices will cause your total revenue to just plummet. Where your product sits on this curve is literally everything. So the crucial takeaway here is this golden rule of pricing. If your product is relatively elastic, an increase in price actually decreases your total revenue because the lost sales completely outweigh that higher price tag. Conversely, if your product is relatively inelastic, meaning consumers consider it an absolute daily necessity, raising the price will actually increase your total revenue. Moving right along, let's look at part three, income shifts. Let's bring this back to our cafe owner and consider external factors. Income elasticity of demand measures how demand responds to changes in consumer income. Imagine the local neighborhood experiences an economic boom, and the average customer's income rises from 200 to 250 Omani Rials, or OMR. That's a solid 25% increase in income. However, the cafe's demand for one specific good falls from 25 units to 20 units, a 20% decrease. We take that negative 20% change in demand and divide it by the positive 25% change in income. The mathematical result is a negative 0.8. Now, that positive or negative sign is absolutely crucial. A positive result indicates a normal good, which means consumption goes up as income goes up. Think of something like premium espresso drinks. However, because our specific calculation resulted in a negative 0.8, this product is categorized as an inferior good. This means as people get richer, they actually abandon this product for something better. Our cafe owner might find out that their cheap instant coffee is an inferior good, actively losing sales as the neighborhood's wealth increases. And that leads us to our final pillar, part four, substitutes and complements. Cross-price elasticity measures how changes in the prices of related products actively manipulate your demand. Let's detail the cross-price math at our cafe. We're looking at the percentage change in demand for pastries divided by a price change in coffee. Suppose the price of coffee increases from 3 OMR up to 5 OMR, a massive 66% price hike. Directly reacting to this, the quantity demanded for pastries falls from 25 units down to 20 units, a negative 20% change. Dividing that negative 20% by the positive 66% yields a result of negative 0.3. Just like before, the sign is the key to the whole puzzle. A positive cross-price elasticity means the goods are substitutes, so if the price of premium coffee jumps, the demand for standard tea rises. But our analytical math gave us a negative 0.3. This proves definitively that the coffee and pastries are complementary goods. They're consumed together. A massive increase in the price of one destroys the quantity demanded for the other. When you step back and really look at these formulas, you realize that elasticity isn't just some textbook theory. It is literally the hidden architecture of the market. Understanding these metrics dictates business survival. It tells our cafe owner exactly when to raise prices, when to pivot away from an inferior good, and who their real market partners are. So I'll leave you with this to ponder. Think about your own daily purchases. How are current market changes in necessities like food or fuel manipulating your personal total expenditure? Are you behaving elastically or inelastically? Keep analyzing, and I'll catch you on the next explainer.